Hello, Tim from Fair Play Now on the 29th of January 2024. So there's been a lot happening in the news recently, hasn't there, over the last week, and I haven't really been in a position to report on any of it, as I'll explain towards the end of the video. Now, I know you probably know what many of these news articles are. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things kicking off it seems, but one article of news that I came across that I don't think many people have commented on, surprisingly. The carbon footprint of homegrown food is 5 times greater than those grown conventionally. Well, to start with, I'd argue that homegrown food is conventional, but we'll leave it at that. The study found individual garden infrastructure responsible for increased levels of CO2. Now, I'm grateful for the last 4 years because before that I'd have seen an article like that and been absolutely bewildered and just thinking, what a random, ridiculous piece of nonsense. What on earth's going on? Why on earth would anyone have any kind of sort of beef against home growing? It kind of reminds me a little bit of, I remember the EU articles about the EU saying how they wanted to ban vitamin supplements a few years ago, well before the nonsense started, probably about 2017, 2018 I'm talking about. And again, I just thought, where does this come from? Why on earth would anyone want to ban stuff that is actually good? I just couldn't fathom it. And I would have been the same with this kind of article. But, of course, now, I know what we all know, well, if you watch this channel anyway, you can just see that this is just starting to ramp up that little narrative, isn't it? Maybe we shouldn't be growing our own food, maybe we should be giving up our allotments, maybe we shouldn't be sort of growing spuds and tomatoes out the back there or anything like that this summer, because it's raising the carbon footprint, it's bad for the environment and all of this kind of thing. And it's just sowing that seed so less and less people start growing their own veg or stop growing their own veg, and thereby giving the powers that shouldn't be even greater control over the food supply. That is exactly where this is coming from. So a benign, rather crazy looking article in this particular newspaper, when you know what's really going on, isn't sort of just random and crazy. It is part of an overall agenda, and frankly one that both myself and no doubt you are getting better and better and better at spotting. And the thing is, when we see this kind of stuff, we need to when we spot it, we need to call it out, just say, yeah, we know what you're really up to with this, go away. Nobody's going to be giving up their sort of homegrown veg, just because of you and your sort of crazy stories. Thank you very much. And another positive point I'd pull from this story is they're obviously getting worried because over the last few years more people have started growing their own veg, myself included. My own efforts haven't been particularly successful. I've got a few potatoes and a few other bits out of the ground here, but at least I'm making an effort, and there's many other people up and down the country who weren't growing a few years ago who are doing so now. And well, from the sound of this article, and this is the reason why people up above there, sort of the powers that shouldn't be, are getting worried. Obviously they're doing it rather well, a little bit too well for their liking. So it's just one of those stories, isn't it? Just an agenda pushing story. But yeah, we know what you're up to. Telegraph, we know what agendas you're pushing, we're calling you out, and just get lost, basically. That's all I'd say to that. There's many other stories as well I could be reporting on and talking about. Probably the biggest story that came out in the last sort of week is this whole conscription thing, and I'm sure you've seen pretty much every other commentator on this platform and elsewhere talking about this. It's this absolutely crazy idea, and the amount of flack that this idiot of a general has got, General Sanders, I think his name was, not Colonel Sanders, the chicken guy, but General Sanders, I think his name is. Well, his sort of little bit of nonsense has been met with an absolute hail of verbal machine gun fire, mortar bombs, aircraft bombs and missiles, sort of machine gun fire, automatic rifle fire, small arms fire, and even the odd nuke or two thrown in there for good measure, hasn't he? And he and the government have been sort of forced to fly the old sort of white flags, haven't they? Actually, I shouldn't really be talking lightly of that, because there was that awful incident. This is a little bit of an aside which I wasn't going to talk about, but that awful incident where that Palestinian who had a white flag in his hand and was still shot dead, and that is a war crime. Sorry, that is murder and a war crime. And there's our Prime Minister, Sunak, who refuses to call that out as a war crime. He was asked to, but he's refused to do so. So that has made our Prime Minister, in my view, utterly and completely unfit for office, and he should be forced to resign pretty much immediately. We're not going to have to suffer him for too much longer anyway. Although we're going to get an even bigger idiot in his place, but he is just completely unfit for office. Anyway, that's just a little bit of an aside there. Getting back to the this conscription thing, I won't talk about it too much more, but the amount of flack they have got, it's probably like a little psyop, to be honest with you, just to gauge, what the public sentiment for a war against Russia might be. If they'd had loads of people sort of putting their hands up and saying, I'll do it, count me in, they might have thought they could get away with it, but they've just had the opposite. Well, apart from Boris Johnson, he said he'd gladly sign up. You wouldn't pass the medical, mate, would you, to be honest with you? So anyway, this whole story has just been met with so much flack, and the government and the powers that shouldn't be have been forced to run for cover, because they've been told in no uncertain terms, take your war with Russia and, get lost, basically. I did actually see a comment by Bournemouth MP Tobias Elwood, who is a guy whose sanity I seriously question. He said that this year the world seems to have a 1939 feel to it. Well, I don't think it's 1939, mate. I think it's more like 1789, to be fair. And you guys, you and the rest of your sort of powers that shouldn't be masters, are facing a 1789. We're seeing that everywhere, aren't we? Germany, France, all over Europe, all of these protests going on, and people just turning around and saying, look, take your war with Russia or whatever else and go and stick it. And that is more what the sense I'm getting how this year feels, rather than this what this Tobias Elwood is saying. Like I say, I sort of think the bloke is insane. He's on record as saying, first of all, that the Veed should be sort of forcibly held down and jabbed in the streets. He's actually said that, and he's also on record as saying, I'm pretty sure, that a nuclear war would be preferable to the Ukraine losing to Russia. So the bloke has, at best, absolutely no moral scruples whatsoever, and when he comes out with things like that, I just question his sanity, to be honest with you. So yeah, I think he's got it wrong with that year. I don't think it feels like 1939. I think it feels like more like 1789. And just to finish off with my take on this whole conscription thing, which hopefully you haven't seen this from anyone else, but I don't know about you, but I'd be happy to make a deal with the government, actually, about conscription. That might surprise you, but bear with me, I'll explain. What I'd say, if anyone from the government's watching, let's make a deal, actually. I'll agree to be conscripted if you do the following things, right? First of all, have a proper inquiry about what's happened over the last 4 years. Look into absolutely everything, and I mean everything. I don't think I need to explain too much more. And when, it's not if, it's when you find all of the senior people who are guilty, you try them properly, give them proper trials, and when they are inevitably found guilty, you put them in prison and throw away the key. So, and that would sort of go for the majority of government ministers, many MPs, and many other people all over the establishment, wouldn't it? You then start looking into all of the other things. I won't go into details too much that the establishment are accused of doing. You certainly sort of do a proper criminal investigation into the likes of Prince Andrew. I'll sort of leave it at that, but you start looking into that kind of thing. Then you immediately withdraw from any and every international alphabet soup unelected body, and I mean absolutely all of them, and you cease any and all funding to all of those sort of bodies, and then you concentrate on working for the people who, frankly, you should have been working for all along, and that's us, the British people. You sort of do everything you do from now on is for our interests and for our good, and you sort of totally ignore anyone who you think's above you. You don't take orders from them anymore, you take orders from us. And also, what I'd like you to do is to come out and sign what I would call a 100-year peace declaration. And that would be an undertaking by the UK to the rest of the world. We would declare this to the entire rest of the world, and we would say, look guys, we're not going to fight or be in any way involved with any war at all for 100 years. And this is an undertaking we're going to do, and we promise not to get involved with anything unless, of course, we're being directly attacked. And if there's Russians with Kalashnikovs running up Brighton Beach, then yes, we will be fighting them to defend our country. But short of that, we will not be getting involved with any war whatsoever. And boy, oh boy, what? Just imagine if we actually did that. What would the rest of the world think? It'd be just such a powerful thing to do, and it wouldn't be long until many other countries were making similar declarations, I don't think. Certainly once they got the right kind of people in power anyway, it'd just be a fantastic, positive thing to do. Like I say, this is a deal I'm making to the government, and if they did all of these things, and after making the peace declaration, if there were Russians running up Brighton Beach with Kalashnikovs, yes, I would then agree to be conscripted to defend my country. So if you're from the government and you're watching this, is that a deal? I'll shake on it. No? Oh, well, yeah, I didn't think so. Anyway, I tried. So, if you've been wondering, this is just to finish off, if you've been wondering why I haven't been around for a week, it's not because I've been on the naughty step. I did see a meme saying something along the lines of, how did it go? Believing that your immune system can do what it was designed to do isn't a conspiracy theory. So true, isn't it? And I'll tell you what, I've been working mine overtime because I've been ill in bed with a high temperature for a few days now, feeling pretty poorly. I'm not feeling that great still, even now. You know, I'm sort of feel like I've been punched all over by someone, but yeah, very achy and everything. But I think I am on the mend now. I've been doing all the right things, all the stuff that I've talked about before and that you know about anyway if you're a regular viewer. So just to explain where I've been, but hopefully I'm on the mend and I will be back with videos on no doubt all the crazy stuff that's going to be happening this week. So I'll leave it there for now and I'll be back soon. Tim from Fair Play now. Thanks for watching.